need, right? These are the points. So you can watch those videos. You will understand that, okay, this is what all these AI tools are doing now, right? We have shown such things so many years back. You watch that video, you will see that a drawing can generate UI, a drawing can generate the code, a drawing can generate the database. This mechanism is called as what? Scaffolding. So what is scaffolding? It is the process of generating the required content for a developer. And for that, we have special tools. Actually, this concept of scaffolding was invented by a technology called Ruby. You might have heard about Ruby on Rails. It is a technology which invented this concept. It is scaffolding concept. So what is bundler? It uses scaffolding technique and it will generate everything what you want. So you don't need to manually do everything. You want a production environment, it will create. Last time we created development environment. Na? I told you a project has three environments: development, quality, and production. You ask, I want a production environment, it will create a production environment. A production environment, it will generate everything. These are called bundlers. And famous bundlers, we have bundlers like one bundler is Webpack. Webpack is a bundler. It is one bundler software. 1-2 years back, React.js we used to use with Webpack. By using this bundler, we used to do that. Building React applications, maintaining them, everything we use bundler called Webpack. But recently now we are migrating from Webpack. We are not using Webpack. We have a bundler called Vite. We have a Vite bundler. By using this Vite bundler, we are creating, maintaining React projects because React became an official partner of these people. Earlier, we used to teach on Webpack. Now we are learning on Vite. There is a bundler called Parcel. Parcel.js. It is also a bundler. It is also a bundler. There are so many bundling tools. What these tools will do, they create a project environment for you. They will maintain a project for you. You don't need to manually do everything. Let's see how to do that, how to use. So what are bundling tools? So we will see one point. So first, creating React environment using bundlers. Creating React environment using bundlers. That's what we are going to see. First, what is bundler? Bundler is a software tool used by developers to build, debug, test, and deploy various types of applications. It can configure the application for development, quality, and production. So it can set up libraries required for project. So it can configure the application, it can set up the libraries. It uses a scaffolding technique to generate required content for developer. So it uses a scaffolding technique to generate required content for developer. That is the popular bundlers. What are those popular bundlers? So we have Webpack, we have Vite bundler, we have parcel. All these are famous bundlers. So what we are going to do is we are going to build a React app using Vite bundler. So building a React application using Vite bundler. So how we can create a React application using Vite bundler? Let's see. First, what you have to do, open any location on your PC from command prompt or terminal. If you have command prompt or terminal, depending on your operating system. That means where you want project. So open that location on your PC. Suppose, if you are using Windows, you can run command, right? It will open command prompt. So in the command prompt, so what you will do, you can change, suppose it opens some C colon something. You know how to change to directories now. So CD, or you know how to change the drives, D colon, it will change to D drive, E drive, any location. You change to any location. What you have to do, run the command. So npm create Vite @latest and app name, any name for the app you have to do. So if you are using Windows, if it is Mac, so you can open terminal and there you can run the same command. You can run the same command. So what is the command? npm create Vite @latest and any name for your app. You can give any name for your app. So let's see how we can design. So when you run this command here, it will prompt for some questions. It will ask you a few questions. We need to answer them, right? So provide input for following questions, following queries, you say. You have to provide input for some queries. What are the queries it will ask? Let's see. I will open my terminal directly. I can open this terminal and I can run a command here. Or if I want, you can open in Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. In that, I will open some location, open folder. Suppose my documents. I will open documents. This is my documents. All folders are present here. What I will do in this, I will create a new, no need of new, just open terminal. This is the terminal. So in this terminal, we need to run a command. And what is the command here? That means in my documents, I am creating some project. Okay, what is it? I will say npm Vite what? Latest and app name. App name I will give as React 7 p.m. app. some name. You can give any short name, avoid using spaces and all. Continuous. Okay. Now, when I hit enter, then it will, what is NPM? You already know. For using NPM, you need to have Node.js. It is mandatory. It is Node Package Manager. Okay. When I hit enter, so here, I think this is not available here. So Node, it is there. I think I have another terminal because my terminal, you know, your terminals are, you need to use, what is it? Command prompt, PowerShell. I told you, you always switch to which one? Command prompt. So React 7 p.m. app. Now it is asking, do you want to proceed? And I will proceed, yes. And when I proceed, you can see it is asking which framework you want. That means it is asking to select framework. Which framework you want to build an app. Already we discussed React is not a framework. What is it? React is a library, but it can use frameworks like Next.js to build an app, right? Can you build apps with React? Not possible. We need framework support. So it is asking which React based framework you want. So which framework you have to select? React. That means you can see in this we have React framework. They have for everyone. React, Vue, Angular, any kind of app we can build using this. You see there is a React, select React and hit enter. Now it is asking next which variant you want. So that means it is asking for select variant. Variant is nothing but JavaScript. You can create with TypeScript also, which we will see later. First, we will learn with JavaScript, then we will see TypeScript. So, which variant? JavaScript variant we want. So, we have to select JavaScript. Use up and down arrows and enter. It is asking install NPM. This is new actually. Earlier, they used to stop with these two questions. Even today in some YouTube, internet websites, they will show these two steps. One step for select framework, second step select variant. After that, done. Now what happens? A folder is created by your project name. You go to the folder and install all the library. But recently what they are doing, they are installing all the required library also. It is asking, so install all the required library. That means earlier they don't used to ask this. Now we are asking install library. So answer we will put as what? Yes. Actually this install library using NPM. So we need to answer that yes. Yes, install it. We need to say yes. Remember, earlier they don't have this. Earlier what happens? They create a folder. Now you need to change to that folder, and in that folder you have to run the command npm install. But now you are installing very latest, so you don't need to do all that. Just choose yes. So if you choose S and hit enter, it is going to run, and see it is using the word. What is it is doing? Scaffolding the project. It is scaffolding the project. And just now I explained what is scaffolding. And always you run the command by using npm and from command prompt. Okay. Now important here, if you selected no, then it creates a folder. Then it creates a folder by your project name. Then what you have to do is change into the folder and run the command. What is the command you have to run is, you know how to change into folder, how to change CD. So your app name, am I right? After that, you will be into that app. Once you are into the app name, here you run the command npm install. Earlier we used to do this, but now you don't need to do all this. Why? Because while creating itself, it will ask, do you want me to install also? You say yes. Accidentally or intentionally you skipped yes, then it will not scaffold. It will just create an empty folder with some basic files. What you have to do, change to the folder name and run the command npm install. Then it will install all the library. But in new version, it is not asking all this. We have to just choose which option. Yes. Then it is going to create the environment for you. And observe very carefully. Once the environment is created, you can see that, so it is installed everything successfully. Once it is installed successfully, you just close it and you can open your project folder. So latest version will do one more thing. Latest version of Vite will install and start project implicitly. Automatically it will start. What you do is terminate using Control+C. That is to terminate. By default, what happens is it will install and it will run the project automatically. Don't run the project, you just use Control+C. That means when you open the terminal, in the terminal it is currently running Control+C, so it will terminate. It will terminate. So it will show the terminal there. So after installing, it is installed for me and I terminated everything. I will close this. Now open the folder. Open the folder. It is in documents. It is this React 7 PM app. And you can see that all the environment is ready. Am I right? That means it will set up all the environment for you. And this is what I showed you manually. Right? In the beginning, we designed this environment manually. What is public? What is SRC? Remember, unfortunately, generally when we teach React, we need to teach folder structure. Folder structure means what is purpose of public, what is purpose of SRC. It's like joke. Why? Because you are a software developer, you are a web developer. Every web developer knows this environment. Every web developer knows that all static files must be in which folder? Public. All dynamic files must be in which folder? SRs. All libraries are present in which folder? Node modules. Everybody knows, but unfortunately these days we need to explain, because our learners even don't know what a project should have. They don't know the project infrastructure. They just know add one file, run the file. Do you know how people learn HTML? Create a folder, store a file, double click and open and see how it is working. That's completely nonsense. How we run a HTML page and test it? We need to host it on a server. We need to request from server. That is how in real time it works. So unfortunately, we need to explain the structure of a project, but actually developers need to have an awareness on the structure of project. So what is the files? What is the purpose of the files? Why they need, where they work, how they work? These are basic. And I hope I don't need to explain majority of these because already we learnt about them. You remembered we added this manually now, but this is now automatically generated according to the requirement. What is new? I will explain. What is newly added here? What is the infrastructure? Let's see. So what you have to do after you created, now open project folder in Visual Studio Code. I hope you are clear. Everyone understood? So you need to run this command. It will create a project for you. And all the environment is ready. And let's try to understand how to use this environment. Let's see the next point. Project file system. Let's see the project file system. When you create and open project, what is the basic file system you are having? Let's see what the project file system is having. One, at the top, you can see it is having node modules. You can see that is the first one you can see at the top. And can you tell me what is its role? It comprises of all library files installed using npm. You installed Bootstrap, you installed React, you installed React DOM, Babel. All the library files are present in node modules. That is important. Next, public. We know what is this public. Public, it comprises of all static resources. Static resources means what? Images, documents, videos. So, and not only that, here we have JSON files. All such things we need to keep inside public. Remember, in this infrastructure, if any file wrong place, they don't work. Suppose you kept an image in a new folder and you try to access and use in React, it cannot use because the entire project is mapped with file system. That means it can pick up the files only from specific folders. You keep in a different folder, they don't work. So make sure that all the resources are maintained in correct, proper folders. So all static resources are kept in public. So SRC, you know this. What is SRC? It comprises of all dynamic resources. Dynamic resources like what? JS, JSX, CSS. So TS, TSX if it is TypeScript. So not only that, even SAS, SCSS, SCSS, we call it as SAS. All they are present dynamic. They are all dynamic resources. They are dynamic resources. So all these are present. All these are present in SRC. Your JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, SAS files are present. SAS is a language used for CSS. In real world projects at high level, we don't use directly CSS because using directly CSS is a lengthy thing. If we have a lot of CSS to do, we use a CSS language called SAS. SAS is a language of CSS. You know Bootstrap na? Bootstrap is built using SAS. It is built using a language called SAS. SAS is a language of CSS. You know CSS also have programming. if conditions, for loops, you can write in CSS. But you never learn that. That is because you are directly learning only CSS. If you learn a CSS language called Sass, there we have conditional statements, functions, iterations, everything, variables. CSS have a language, right? By using that language, they build the large animations, styles, effects, and all. Okay. Such files are kept in SRC. We have node modules, we have public, another one SRC. Another important, you see there is another one, dot git ignore. I explained about this, right? So it configures the files to ignore while publishing onto Git. So this you will see later while we are connecting our project with GitHub. We will do that later. Another option is this is ifig.js. I already asked you to install an ESLint extension. Remember, no? All right. I told you what is ESLint. What is ESLint? ESLint is JavaScript language analysis tool. When you are using JavaScript in any project, we have to follow JavaScript rules. For example, we are saying that we are using JavaScript in React. Now interviewer will ask you which version JavaScript you are using in React. JavaScript very latest version is JavaScript ES 18th edition, ES 18, 1.8. ES 18 is the latest version of JavaScript, just few days back released. Just few days back only released, 18th edition of JavaScript, ES 18. But companies are still using ES 6, 7. ES 6 is 2016. ES 7 is 2017. 2026 version is already ready and released. 2027 version released in JavaScript. It is in a draft mode, means they will do some testing and release it. It is already there now. So now the interviewer question is, my company wants to use JavaScript ES 20, means ES 2020, right? Then how you will set up the version of JavaScript in your project? That we do in this file. I told you one more point, if you remembered, there are two module systems, AMD, UMD. You are linking which module system? UMD. Why? Because the default module system used by React is UMD. Interviewer will ask how to change my module system. I am working in a Java project. In my module, here my modules are different. I want to use a different module system. How? We have to change in this file. That means all the JavaScript rules for your project are configured in this file. This is eslint.config. You can go and you can see here, it will show all the JavaScript related some rules. Only few rules are there. There will be so many more rules. And you can see it is using some files with extension. What is extension? .js and .jsx. If you use any other files, they don't work here because in the configuration, they have only these two files. Suppose CommonJS, they use CJS extension, but it is using JS and JSX. So your files must have extension only JS or JSX, especially logical, whatever components you create. All such settings are defined here. Here only few settings are there. So many settings we can add later according to requirements. So if you are using JavaScript in any project, all the JavaScript rules are defined in this file. It is actually JavaScript. So it is JavaScript language configuration file. JavaScript related rules are defined inside this file. So this is ESLint. That is one extra file you will see. And you already know index.html we saw. What is index.html? It is startup page. That means application starts with index.html. How the application starts, I will tell you. There is a flow to understand. We will see that. Another point, you can see there is another option, package.json. We have package.lock.json, and we are having readme.md. I explained all these actually. You remembered I told you package JSON, package lock JSON, these contain metadata. Na? That means project metadata. And very important, project metadata editable. This is editable. And this is project metadata locked, not editable. This is used in production. In production, we use this, and this is used in development. In development, we use this. That means what your project contains, what are all the libraries installed for your project, which version, everything information is present in package JSON. Suppose you see, I will tell you one simple concept. You are practicing some technologies. Suppose you want some free projects to try. Java, .NET, Python, artificial intelligence, some projects you want to practice. Do you know any good repository who provides free projects? Do you know any repository who provides free projects for all software developers? There is a website called Code Project. Code Project. There is a website called Code Project. This is Code Project. You can open this Code Project. So, acha, this is not there. Code Project Dev Community. Shutting down. It is shutting down. They moved to GitHub. So, this Code Project is one important. They moved to GitHub, right? This is Code Project. They moved their repository to GitHub now. You can go to the GitHub. This is the project. And actually, it is their official website earlier. But now they moved to GitHub. You can go here. They will provide projects related to different technologies. They are all free projects. You choose category, Java, hundreds of projects, .NET, hundreds of projects. You can practice them. Now, what is the point here is, suppose you have downloaded. So yeah, you have downloaded a project from this website. On GitHub, somebody given a project, you download it. After downloading the project, you try to run the project. It will not work. Why? You are a Java developer. You are practicing Java on your device. You downloaded a project from some repository and you try to run that project and use that project, and you cannot use it. Why? Why you cannot use that project? You cannot run the project directly. Why you cannot run the project directly? What do you say? Because in that project, he might have used some libraries. The same libraries must be available and tools must be available on your device also. Na? If same version also should match. If version also not matching, they don't work. Then as a developer, how you know what libraries and which version he used in the project? Will you send an email to him? No. You can just open package.json, you will get a clarity. Understood? Huh? So a developer can understand about a project just by opening this package.json. He can understand what libraries are used. He can understand which version used. Not only that, you can run one command npm install. It will automatically install all the libraries from the package.json. So package.json is very important. If package.json is not present, you cannot install, update the libraries required for project. Everything we do by using this package.json. README, already I told you what is README. It is a help document by developer for developers. So we design a help document, how to run the project, where which files are kept, everything we help by using a document. And what is the document? readme.md. And one more important is there. Another important, vite.config.js. This is one file. Vite.config is nothing but you are creating one app. In this app, currently, which library is working? React library is working. Now you want to add Next.js server-side testing framework for testing. You want to add more plugins into this project. Those all are defined inside Vite config. You can see currently your project is enabled with only one library. What is it? React. That means all React libraries are working fine. But later, if you add Next.js for server side, you add some testing frameworks, then they all are enabled here. That means what is this file importance is, it is used to configure our application with various plugins like server side frameworks, testing frameworks, all these are configured by using this. So whenever a project is created, these all are present in your project. I hope you are clear. And now, how to run this project? How we can start this project? How actually this project works in the background, I will tell you. First, how to start the project. So what you have to do is to run project, to run your React application. So you have to use the command npm. So npm run dev. Open the terminal, and in the terminal you have to run a command. And what is the command? Here you need to run the command npm run. What is it? Dev. npm run dev. It will start your project and see it is currently running on this port number 5173. Now what you have to do is request this port number from your browser. That means open any browser and request that port number, localhost 5173. This is your React project. And this is the home screen of your React application. Now the question is how this is coming, from where it is coming, how to customize this, how we can put our own screen in the startup. This is default, by default coming. Understanding this is very important, right? So what happens now when you do this? So your application starts with, so to run React application, you have to run this command. It starts on local server with default port number. So it will be default port number, this one, 5173. Actually, that is the port number 5173 by default. You want, you can change the port numbers and all. Later I will tell how we can customize them. Whatever default comes, you can use. Then what you have to do, request from any browser. You have to request from any browser, http://127.0.0.1. So 5173. This is your local IP address. Na? I hope you people know every computer IP address, local server will be same. Huh? HTTP, you can also use the word localhost. Localhost 5173. Now your application will start. So you need to start your application and it is on default port number. So you can see that this is the application that is coming. Now the question is how this is coming, how this screen is coming, what is the background flow, right? How this application is working. Let's see how this screen is coming, how the React application is working. Let's observe the concept. So we will see the basic React flow, how the React works. A basic flow we will see. I'm creating a new one. Yeah. Let's understand the flow, how it works. This is React flow. Okay. And see, generally we have a client. So we are having a client. So this is the user we call client. Now, what happens is user is requesting our React application from server. So this is, I will put a simple structure. Yeah. Actually, this is our React application on server. This is our React application on server. So this is the local server. We have a local server. Our application is on local server. Later we will learn how to host on cloud servers. Everything we can do. React application is on local server. Okay. Now how the user requests? User will request from browser. From the browser, user will request like this. What will be the user request? http://127.0.0.1 some port number. Now when they request this, what happens is, first, whenever user requests anything from the URL, now tell me, you see, you learned HTML. In the browser address bar, that address bar is a search bar, na? It is a text box. In the text box, I am typing some amazon.in, and after typing, it is not loading. Why? After typing, it is not loading. Why? Because I have to hit enter, na? Okay, when I hit enter, what happens is an event will trigger. Enter is an event, na? Just like click. So an event will trigger and that event will load the page. Am I right? Now interior question is, on which event the page loads in a browser? On which event any web page loads in a browser? Any web page, server side, client side, any web page, on which event a page will load on browser? So whenever you request it will use one event called, it will use an event called DOM content loaded. This is an event. Every web page opens in a browser using an event called DOM content loaded. This is the event used by browser to load the requested HTML page or Java, .NET, any server-side page. Every web page loads on this event, DOM content loaded. I will show you. Let's see. Right click in the page, go to inspect. When you go to inspect, in the inspect, there is a network category. Open the network category. Okay. Now what you do is, after you opened the network category, let me decrease the size a little bit. Okay, after opening the network category, what I am doing is I am refreshing the page, and observe carefully. When I'm refreshing the page, there is an event working here, DOM content loaded at the bottom. Can you see that? So that means it is using DOM content loaded. That is the event. It is using an event DOM content loaded. This is the event. On that event, it is going to load all the resources of your web page. And those resources are displayed here. So every browser opens a HTML page on an event called DOM content loaded. That's how experience interviews will happen. What do you think? They ask, what is React.js? Who invented React.js? Huh? They ask all architectural experience questions. There is no boundary. That means for fresher, everything is too much because they have limited knowledge. But for experienced person, there is no boundary. You put 20 years experience, I will ask you questions related to you. We have questions for 20 years experienced people also. You may ask, like, for 20 years experienced person, what question I can ask? He can answer everything. No, he can't answer. You send me a 30 years experienced person in a technology, I will ask him questions which on his technology only he can't answer. That means there is no boundary for concept. So much is there. And why a 20-30 year experienced person cannot answer? Because he don't have time to explore everything. All these years on which concept he worked, he is genius in that. He don't know everything. Am I right? He don't know everything because he don't need to know everything. But when he goes to some another company, they will ask some questions in such a way that he never worked on them. Then what is his genuine answer? Says that I never worked on it. That's it. You ask me any question on what I worked on, I will answer. And something you asked new, I said that I never worked on this. Because already in my resume, I shown you what projects, what roles I have done. In that role, I never got a chance to do this. So I am not aware of this. That's fine. Right? But remember, these are all very basic and important things in interviews. So how a page will load into the browser. This is the basic thing. So on DOM content loaded, this event will fire up and see, actually in your application, there is a file called index.html. Am I right? Now what happens is when first time client requests on this particular event, it is going to connect to this file. Because what is the startup page that loads automatically? The startup page that loads automatically is what? Index. And on which event it will load? DOM content loaded. But very important is when you first request this, it is going to load the index page, but it is going to load, what it loads into browser is, it is going to load static DOM. Static DOM is loaded. Static DOM means, you know, index.html, what it contains. We designed now. Index.html contains a div with an ID called, what is that ID? Root. Am I right? Now what it is going to do is, it is going to render this in the browser. Am I right? It will render that in the browser because that is the static DOM it is having. Remember, every web page works like this one. When you request a web page, in that web page you are using JavaScript. First, what it will do, it will render all the static. After rendering the static, now very important is, it requires some functionality na. So in after index.html in your project, what happens is, in your project there will be another file called main.jsx. There will be a file called main.jsx, and you know the meaning of the word main. Main is entry point na? Main is entry point. That means it starts from here. In this main.jsx, what happens is, in that main.jsx, it is going to have all the library. That means React library, React DOM library, so and Babel library, we know na? All these libraries are present in this main. All the libraries are present in this main, and actually this main is connected to index. That means index uses which file? Index is going to use which file? Index is going to use this main.jsx. Am I right? It is going to use this main.jsx. And what main.jsx will do? It is going to load all the libraries. And not only loading all the libraries, what it will do is, it will create the virtual DOM. How to create virtual DOM we know. Constant, what is it? Root is equal to, what is it? Create root method na. I'm not giving entire syntax, just overview. After that, what happens? Root dot what? Render. It will render some component. That means what it is going to do is, it is going to create the virtual DOM also. So when you request any React application, first index will load. After that, index will load another file. Which file it will load? Main. What main.jsx will do? It will load all the library required for React. Not only loading all the library required for React, it will create a virtual DOM also. But remember, virtual DOM needs to render one component na. One component should be rendered. So what happens is, there is another component called, by default in React application, you will have a component called app.jsx. By default in React application, one component by default comes, and that component is app.jsx. And it is a component. You know, component means how it looks like. Component means what? It is a function, app. Am I right? So it is a function and app, and this will return some markup. Am I right? It will return some JSX. It is going to return some JSX. It is going to return some JSX. Am I right? Now what happens is, this app is going to render. It is going to render here. Understood? That means the app component is going to render. Now what will happen? This entire virtual DOM after creating the virtual DOM, it is going to update into this one. It is going to update into the browser. Now this static DOM will be converted into, the static DOM is converted into dynamic DOM. Before the library loaded, all was static. After the library loaded, it becomes dynamic. Every HTML page with JavaScript works like that. Suppose in a JavaScript, in a HTML page, you are linking JavaScript file. Do you know what will happen? First HTML will load. First HTML will render. After that JavaScript will load. Once JavaScript is loaded, it becomes dynamic. Before JavaScript is loaded, it is what? Static. The static one is converted into dynamic. This is how your React application actually works. Understood the flow? Here only the point is I haven't added any component. By default, one component is present. By default, one component is present. We are just using it. Now we will learn how to create our own components here. So initially, whenever you request, observe carefully. Now one by one we will come. Let's go to index.html. In index.html, you can see it is having div with id root na, and it is having a link main.jsx, am I right? Okay, let's go to main.jsx in src. In src main.jsx, you can see it is creating root, it is rendering into the root na. They have written all in shortcut. Actually, we are writing in 2 lines, create a constant, create root. They can write in 1 line. And see, they are using a strict mode. You already know JavaScript can run in strict mode, na? You learn, na? In JavaScript, how to turn on strict mode by using use strict. No? Don't know? You don't know JavaScript strict mode? Huh? For example, suppose I will give here. Suppose I'm writing a script. So I'm writing a script. So I will put a HTML page. Huh? I'll rename this HTML. Okay. Suppose I'm writing a script here, x equal to 10, document dot write x. It is not a good programming logic. Why? Because you are using a variable which is not declared. Am I right? Without declaring a variable, if I try to use a variable, it will show error in your programming languages. Am I right? Why? Because they are in strict mode. Because all your languages are in strict mode. That means strict mode means they will not allow developers to violate the rules. But JavaScript is not in strict mode. You can see it will allow, it will run. It will run. But we don't want developers to do that. We want developers to write JavaScript using standards. Then we will ask our developer to turn on strict mode. How to turn on strict mode? Use strict. We have to add this line every time when we use JavaScript in real time. In real-time projects, whenever you write JavaScript function, we cannot write without this line. It is mandatory. And when you turn on the strict mode, use strict. What will happen? When you turn on the strict mode, it will not work now. It will show error saying that how you can use a variable which is not there. Then what you have to do? You have to declare X, then it is able to use it. But this is not required if it is not, currently it is showing error, but it is not required if you remove the strict mode. If I remove the strict mode, I can write without following rules. So we don't want developers to write any JavaScript logic without strict. Always strict. That's the reason you can see that React is using that strict here. It is using strict. And which component it is rendering? App component. Let's go to app.jsx. You see it is a function now. And you see function is returning some markup. What I will do, I will clean up all this markup, whatever they have given. I will put a div and welcome to React 19. Only this I am giving, am I right? And you can see rest of everything I will clean up, and you can see that is what it will show in the output. You can see it is showing that in the output. That means I customized that. You know that every component is a function. Right now, our concept is how to create our own components, how we can handle the components. Right? I hope everyone understood the flow. When you request a React app, when you start a React app, it will first start the index. Index will load a main. Main will load all the libraries and create the virtual DOM. In the main, it will by default use one component, which is app. That is not created by us. We can create our own components and put them. That we will do in next level. How? That we'll see in next session. Now, in tomorrow's session, we are going to learn very, very important concept called module system. Because in React.js, here, every file works in a module system. So we should know module system of JavaScript, and we should use that module system in our React. Because we have to create separate files, we have to import and use them. That can be done using one concept of module system. And it's very important to work with React. That we'll see tomorrow. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to learn a JavaScript advanced concept called module system. Okay, then we can implement that in our React. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right. All this diagram, everything I will upload into Classroom. Right. Online people, the Classroom code will be given by your online admins only. Please contact your online admin. Okay, right. Yes, Srinivas, what is your doubt?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, in the diagram you said like dynamic DOM, is the dynamic DOM and virtual DOM both are same, sir, or is there any difference?
Dynamic domains, it is converted into dynamic. Means it will start interacting with you.
But when the virtual DOM is created, sir, before that, sir?
See, you have completely misunderstood the concept. A static DOM, what do you think? Static DOM means a separate DOM?
No, sir. Regular DOM
What
mode.
is static DOM means?
It is the set of nodes created in the memory.
So a
browser.
set of elements which will not interact. Dynamic
Yes.
DOM means they will start interacting. Understood?
Yes, yes, yes.
That is the point. It is not like dynamic DOM is a virtual DOM or actual DOM. Okay.
Okay, so once it is converted into dynamic DOM, the user can interact with it.
Once, yes, that's what, right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.